Hello and welcome to India Post Live, India's first online news conversation portal. Today it's football again that we're talking about. The Champions League final has happened. Madrid went through as the victors, earning them La Decima, which they've been hunting for a long time. To discuss all this today, we've got Mr. Joydeep Basu and Mr. Novi Kapadia, who are both senior football and sports journalists in this country. Guys, it wasn't the most exciting of matches, let's say, but it did end up being quite a fascinating result. Were these the two teams that deserved to be in this final this year?
Yes, they certainly deserved because they had a very confident entry into the final. The way Real Madrid destroyed Bayern Munich and Atletico, beating Chelsea at Stamford Bridge was very convincing. Yes, it wasn't sort of champagne football, but it was very dramatic. It was a very competitive match. It was very dramatic. It had a lot of, fluctuating fortunes. So it will be a match which will be remembered, like the 2005 final at Istanbul or Manchester United's dramatic comeback against Bayern Munich.
Absolutely.
People will always remember this match for more ways than one.
Records are one thing that this game set a lot of. In particular, it was the first ever derby. It was the first final since the inception of the actual UEFA Champions League to go to extra time and not finish on penalties. There have been 6 incidences before this that went to extra time, but this is the first one that didn't finish on penalties. Atletico's spirit, was it just a matter of their spirit was broken? What happened to them?
I think it's in the second half. It was looking quite. It was quite obvious that they were on the back foot. That 5 minutes of add-on time, which I think that really broke their backbone. That goal that they conceded, whatever spirit they had, because for the second half, 45 minutes, Real had the complete domination of the match, and they were a bit lucky not to concede a goal at that point of time. And so all those goals came in the extra time.
So it was a matter of like they knew it was coming, and then when it did finally.
I think
did they let the pressure off at all, or were they just not?
They planned it for 45 minutes. Beyond 45 minutes, their planning went astray.
And actually, 10 minutes in, it all went a lot wrong. The decision to use the injured Diego Costa, who actually had to go off then. A good move or a bad move on your part?
Well, I think Simeone took a gamble. And it's always a gamble when you play an injured player. He probably thought he'd last for at least one half and, trouble the Real Madrid defense. He didn't realize such injuries take time. The problem, I think, came not so much that 10-minute substitute, but that at the end, when Juan Fran was limping, the right back, then they had no substitutes.
Right.
And Di Maria and Marcelo. So Ancelotti got the better of the substitution. I thought those 2 substitutions early in the second half, when he especially brought on Marcelo, the Brazilian left back, who was much better on the overlap than Conchetrao. So that made the difference because they kept attacking from that side.
And they exploited that.
They exploited that weakness, and Atletico had nobody as a substitute. I think that backfired on them.
Standout performance apart from the goal scores, of course. I think you were saying Di Maria. Would it be Di Maria for you as well?
Yeah, of course. It was definitely a very confident performance. Especially on the eve of the World Cup. If you see a player playing like that, it really boosts the confidence of not only his club team, perhaps his national team as well. And I think that what Novi said is also right, that he took a gamble. Well, this gamble paid for the Real Madrid because Karim Benzema, or for that matter, they never practiced too well before the final. It happened in 1954 World Cup final also when Hungary played Puskás without any practice and it failed. So this time Simeone was unlucky not to get the result out of it. He can't put his best player in the dressing room and get into the crowd.
Absolutely. Di Maria's footwork was something that was great. Do you think there have been rumors and talks going on on the internet and the papers about him perhaps going off to another club at the end of the season? Do you think that will happen?
No, I don't think so. They'll do their best to cling on to him now. I mean, I think, as Joydeep is saying, it augurs well for Argentina. Di Maria, Lionel Messi, Aguero, I mean, they have arguably the best forward line in the world. I mean, if that forward line clicks, they would be devastating, absolutely. Yes, Argentina's defense is a bit suspect, but that forward line can outscore everybody. No, I doubt Real Madrid are known to cling on to their players. I mean, if anybody, well, we've heard that they are bidding for Suarez now from Liverpool, astronomical amounts of money. So if anybody's position is in doubt, I think it may be Karim Benzema to a certain extent, because he hasn't scored as many as he thinks. I think Angel Di Maria, Gareth Bale, they have made themselves, clinched their places in history as far as Real Madrid goes.
And Luka Modric, definitely another standout performer of that game. How was his game for you? Describe what made his performance such a standout one.
His performance, I think, again, the entire Real Madrid had a confident performance. And I think he rarely mispassed in the entire match. He rarely mispassed in the entire match. His positioning was very good. And I think he was on his side. He was supporting him very well in the match. What do you think?
Yes, certainly. Luka Modric had an outstanding game. The way he sort of, dominated in midfield. He had Isco with him. They missed Xabi Alonso.
Yeah, they did miss.
There was really crucial player who wasn't there. But with Isco, and I think the other really outstanding player was Dennis Karyaval.
Yeah.
On the right. Bearded. I think he's, cemented his place as the Spanish right back in the World Cup next month. Because he was really brilliant also. The pace that he could play at. He could move up, fall back. He blunted Atletico Madrid's attack on the left.
Absolutely. Now to the goal itself, the first goal in the 36th minute for Atletico. They say it's down to Casillas' error. Was it an error for him? Should he have stayed on his line?
No, any goalkeeper, if you come off your line, you connect the ball. And a goalkeeper of Casillas' experience, I'm sure Vicente Del Bosque will not be happy watching that. If his number one goalkeeper can't time his run out, there's no question of nerves here. Casillas has played 3 World Cups. He's won a World Cup. He's won a European Championships. So there's not a question of a young goalkeeper losing his nerve. So he's out of form.
Very
he's
similar
mistimed.
to maybe what happened to Liverpool, to Gerrard at Liverpool, the slip that he made. It's just, you can't hold it against him, I suppose.
No, you can't hold it against, but he's previously in the season also made errors. Is he slowing down? Because in a goalkeeper, it's a fraction of a second. You're a fraction of a second late, and it's the toughest job in the football field. You get no second chance. A striker misses, he gets another chance to convert a goal. Goalkeeper makes a mistake, you're always remembered, like the poor Brazilian goalkeeper in the 1950 World Cup. So Casillas was a blunder. I think that's why he kissed Ramos's cheek at the end. Because Ramos saved him. The people will have forgotten Casillas' blunder, but it was a blunder.
Ramos, as you mentioned, he's their lucky charm. He came through in the semi-finals.
The semi-finals also, he did the same thing.
His goal, the finishing of it was sublime, and even in the semis, he meant to do that very much. Would this be something that they've been practicing on over and over again? The use of Ramos as that extra guy to come in and do the headers.
He places himself at the right positions. That is his beauty. Whatever they have practiced in the training session, he executes this very well. That is the thing. Never in the semi-final also, in the final also, he placed himself at a position. Perhaps that was the best position to score the goal.
And both with heavy defensive sides, he's pulled this off as well. Atletico's defense, would you call that derby defense?
They were very competitive. They are fit, fast, competitive. They give nothing away. They almost did thwart Real Madrid. Though, as Jaideep rightly said, the last 45 minutes, Real Madrid were dominant, especially with Marcelo coming on. He and Luka Modric dominated midfield. Gareth Bale started running at them at the defense. So now you see, the question is, did Atletico Madrid get ultra defensive, or did Real Madrid with their speed and desire dominate the midfield?
That's a great point. What's it for you? That's a really nice point.
I did feel Atletico Madrid, as Jaideep said, planned only for 45 minutes. They thought, let's hold on. Our defense has been very competitive, and we'll manage somehow. We'll manage to hold on. And then they surrendered space. And that's always a danger.
And I think that Gareth Bale also was able to, the coach set for him, Simone set for him, he managed to evade that in the last. That was also one of the points.
Yes, with his speed, speed, he managed to
power. Yeah.
He was an extraordinary player.
Yeah, extraordinary player. I mean, he could have finished the match in 90 minutes. If he had managed to score those goals, he could have finished the match in 90 minutes. He totally broke open, with wall passes, with his speed. He broke open Atletico Madrid's defense, and that, I think, it should have been a wake-up call that, you got to counter-attack a bit more.
I think no British player has made such impact outside England. No, isn't it? Very few.
And in a final.
And playing for a team which is from a continent, not from the island.
Steve McManaman had won it with Real Madrid, but not with such an impact. He was, with the Zidane and Figo, they were the stars in that team. McManaman was just an extra in that team. But Gareth Bale he's clinched his place in history. Nobody is going to question that he cost 100 million euros anymore.
Well, if Ronaldo wasn't jealous, he probably is now. Guys, what do you guys think of that? Do let us know what you think on Twitter or on Facebook. Our handle is at IndiaPostLive using the hashtag IndiaPostLive. Let us know what you think of the finals, who your standout performers were, and whatever else you would like to talk about. Guys, moving on a little bit, let's go specifically to their tactics, starting with Ancelotti. Talk us through what he would have set up pre and at halftime. In terms of tactics, what did he come out planning to do, and did he need to adapt?
See, what he need to adapt is to equalize. That was his first target. So he had no option in hand. But one thing I think he kept on saying, what I feel, that attack, goal will come at some point of time. See, Ancelotti is a kind of coach who was once sacked by Juventus, I think, or AC Milan for being too defensive or something. Their president said, club president says he's too defensive. And he is the one who, I think, that diamond system and all, also he popularized the Italian league. But now he has come up with a kind of balance that is good for big teams. And I must say his managerial quality was at his best, because he was handling a team which is some 420 million pounds or something, against a team which has only spent 40 million pounds. So I think he believed in his boys and told them, keep on attacking. The goal will come at last. And that paid off. Even in that last 5 minutes, they never looked disheartened. That is one thing. Real Madrid for the last 20 minutes also never looked disheartened. They never looked a team which are desperate tryers. They looked a team which are set, they know what to do, and they are doing according to the plans. There is no desperate attempt in them.
Which obviously got on Diego Simeone's nerves later with the Rafael Varane incident. Let's talk about that a little bit. There's a lot of speculation as to what actually happened. What have you heard?
What we heard was that Rafael Varane, after it was 4-1, when Cristiano Ronaldo got that penalty goal, he's young, inexperienced, he got carried away. He sort of flicked or kicked the ball towards the Atletico Madrid bench with the sort of, we've shown you.
Right.
Who are the masters of Madrid, which was unnecessary. But Simeone also lost his cool needlessly. I mean, yes, it was a very sort of impolite gesture. But there were ways of tackling it. You cannot run onto the field and manhandle somebody. Whereas he is like that. He's a very excitable person. You kept on seeing him trying to whip up the crowd. Emotionally get them behind his team.
As we've mentioned, he's always been like that 12th man on the pitch.
He's always been like that. He makes the crowd be like the 12th man. But he does try to, influence the referee a bit also. I mean, shades of Mourinho in that. But taking on also what Jaideep said, I think Ancelotti is the right choice for Real Madrid. He's that mature person who now believes in attacking football, who can handle personalities. And I think at this stage, after Mourinho had a very acrimonious relationship with the players, he's made a happy dressing room.
Yeah.
And he's got the best out of players. When he's wanted to drop somebody, he has dropped them. I mean, Bale has struggled for his position. He's got them playing at the right time. And that was the major point, that even in added time, the heads weren't drooping.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not our day. They kept believing we'll get it. And see, when they led 2-1, they didn't get defensive. They went for more goals.
It was the
That
winning
difference.
mentality
The winning mentality.
through and through. And that for Ancelotti is probably no one better than him, because he's now the most decorated player come manager to have lifted the cup both as a player and a manager now, and he's got about, I think, 5 winners' medals. So in terms of his background goes, he's the man for the job, clearly. But the other guy who had a tough job was the referee himself. How do you think he dealt well with the game?
Yeah, I think he was all right. The Kuipers, the Dutch referee. I mean, these are tough games. Added factors, it's a derby. It's, as Jaideep pointed out, the difference in money, so it has a little ideological twist. The poor team versus the aristocrats.
Yeah.
There is always that in it also. And Atletico Madrid, really in a way you feel sad for them. It's the curse of the added time goals. 1974, Schwarzenbeck, long ranger, unexpected equalizer. Though, of course, this really wasn't so unexpected because Real Madrid were piling on the pressure. And they got the equalizer off a set piece, of all things in which Atletico Madrid are supposed to be very good, defending at set pieces. But Ramos's star is rising and rising. He started off as a wing back, now he's a central defender who goes up and scores goals. He is one of the outstanding defenders in the world at present.
Absolutely. So his place also well cemented. Moment of the match for you, what would you say that was? What was your favorite moment of the match? Forget the goals. Perhaps a moment of skill, something that just stuck out for you apart from the result itself.
I think the last goal which Ronaldo scored from penalty, the way he looked the best player in the world. Perhaps his celebration was a bit too much, some people thought.
Was that him telling the world that I'm the best?
But people will remember it. And only 10 days away from the World Cup, all these things really matter. It's a good advertisement for he got a yellow card, no doubt about it.
I don't think he minded at that point.
But by that time already 12 yellow cards were shown, so it didn't really. But I think people will remember it. See, it is football. Actually, since it has become a television game, it has become more about personalities. So, and throughout the match, Ronaldo really didn't do too good. He did all right. He was not at his extraordinary best as we see him, and it was his 17th goal. That is 17th goal. So.
His tournament overall that way, it's record breaking. That he's now only, I think, 4 goals short of the all-time record for a Champions League scorer. He is outshadowed Lionel Messi now in this competition, and all sorts. His tournament from start to finish, Real Madrid have scored 3.15 goals per game. So Ronaldo, despite not being there in the final, talk us through his journey to the final, specifically Ronaldo's.
The journey to the final has been excellent. There's little, you see again, if you go back to Euro 2012, the match against Spain, which they lost in the semi-finals, somehow he's found wanting in the big matches. Yeah, maybe he's marked too closely because he's the main player. But yes, credit here that he came back, he made that dazzling run at the end, was tripped, there was no doubt of the penalty, took the penalty very well. But didn't really, as Jaideep said, had an impact on the match as much as Angel Di Maria or even Gareth Bale in the second half when he started running like Usain Bolt, going at that Atletico Madrid. And you could see they were shaky. They couldn't catch him up. They couldn't trip him also. He was so fast. Ronaldo didn't have that much impact, but then to his credit, he kept on. And he's always an impact player because you had to have people near him. And 17 goals, as Jaideep has rightly remarked. I mean, that's going to be a milestone. Very few people are going to get 17 goals, match 17 goals in one competition. He's consistently scored. So it's been a great year for him. The World Player of the Year, Champions League title with 2 clubs now, Manchester United and this. And he scored a goal in the final.
He's also the only player to have ever scored for 2 different teams in the Champions League final.
Yes.
By
So
the way, another record.
He's got all these, as Ancelotti is also won with AC Milan as a coach, now with Real Madrid as a player, as a coach, and AC Milan as a player earlier in 89-90. So yes, there have been lots of these goal-scoring feats, but one would have thought Ronaldo would have been a bit more dominant. Maybe that Atletico Madrid got that right. They managed to curtail him, but not the surrounding
There's
cast.
so many,
The surrounding
there's so
cast
many
took
else
over.
now. Let's not take that much away from Atletico as well. They did get to the finals in the first place, so obviously we would say Costa is, let's say, their player of the tournament. Who is the player of the finals from Atletico for you?
From Atletico field, who should be the final? Who do you think?
For the final, yeah, very tough. I mean, Juan Fran till he got injured. Diego Gordon had an excellent
I think
game.
Diego Gordon.
Diego Gordon
Probably
probably,
should be.
yes.
He
He was
probably
outstanding.
because-
He scored the goal.
He scored the goal.
Yeah, you got to be in the right place at the right time. to do
Right
the
time,
right
and
stuff.
he defended very well. He
Yeah,
defended very well.
He defended very well.
Very well.
Of course, he defended very,
Very
well. And Atletico Madrid was Real was extra cautious when he was
Yes.
taking the because Iker Casillas has already said they are very strong in this particular position, but still he managed to score the goal.
Scored the goal, yes.
You don't think Diego Simeone should have done more in terms of being ready for Costa not being there and also compensating for the lack of attack that happens with Costa being out?
I think what Novi says is right. He took a gamble.
Yeah.
That is the thing. See, resources are limited. He's not like Real Madrid. It's a small team. It's almost, as Novi says, it's a have and have-nots. It's a fight between the have and the have-nots. So his resources are limited. How can he keep, even if he plays 20% of his football, I think none of his substitute can play that football. That is the thing.
But they're all, his style has been this one style throughout the season, throughout every tournament. It's just this get stuck in, boys, we're going to defend, we're going to do this. There is no option of perhaps doing a Chelsea in the last 10 minutes and just parking the bus. And because they did to an extent, but then they had no counter options. So, as you said, they were never a threat. You think that's down to also, to some extent, because of the yellow cards that they had conceded, that they had to be a bit wary? Like you said, the players were running at them and all.
Yeah, both factors. See, Diego Costa, the other factor could have been that you bring him on at the end. So that's where I thought he took a gamble. He said, let's try him in the beginning and unsettle Real Madrid, you know, who have a good defense but not a sort of, watertight defense. So the other option, he could have brought him on at the beginning. For the second half, I thought the mindset of the players, they got ultra defensive, that we can hold on. The whole season we've held on. And then Real Madrid's attacking flair, I mean, probably no team in the world, except maybe Bayern Munich at their best, no club team in the world
Can withstand.
This can play with this attacking flair.
Once
They
they're
forgot
on.
that. And then there's a variety. You see, there's Angel Di Maria, he's sort of
Nimble,
nimble-footed on the flanks, Gareth Bale, blistering pace, Cristiano Ronaldo, everybody
around
knows.
everything.
Luka Modric, as Jaideep rightly said, very accurate passing, clever passing by Isco, everybody, Ramos moving into attack. It was and Marcelo was outstanding. We forget the work of the Brazilian. And in the end, when Angel Di Maria was going a little defensive, Marcelo was dominating. So, it was like they were being bombarded from all sides. And they couldn't withstand that in the end. They tried to park the bus, but the variety in attack of Real Madrid ultimately proved too much. Finally, to old cliche, it was a victory for football. The team which played the better football won.
There you go. Now, it's a very nice note to also end on, gentlemen. It was a victory for football. As they say, when you think it's over, it really isn't, because that match proved it. Real Madrid winning La Decima after 12 years of trying. Good job to them. Atletico, heartbreak. With 2 minutes to go, all they had to do is hold on for 2 minutes, but they couldn't. Gentlemen, with your final thoughts, I would like just two things from you. Your player of the tournament from the two final teams, and your player of the tournament who was not involved in the final teams.
Player of the tournament from the two teams involved would have to be Cristiano Ronaldo, because consistently the goals that he scored, or Sergio Ramos. I mean, it's narrow, sort of shadow line between these two, because Ramos scored crucial goals, defended brilliantly. From the two teams not involved, really very difficult choice, but I would put it as probably Thomas Müller of Bayern Munich. For, otherwise very consistent performances, scoring goals, distributing, work rate, probably one of the few players who lived up to his, the expectations and reputation that he had, the Bayern Munich's Thomas Müller.
Excellent. And sir, you're actually I'm not going to say the same question, in fact, but your favorite moment of the tournament and the final that didn't happen?
That didn't happen.
Excluding the final, your favorite moment of the entire...
Atletico winning the cup. That didn't happen. Perhaps. It would have been a great justice to football, or a very romantic moment it could have been. But it didn't happen.
Story.
Money always played the last, said the last word, so it did, perhaps.
Right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here today to talk about that very exciting match that was. Guys, thank you for joining us live on India Post Live. Do tweet in with what you think about the finals, who you thought your best players were. Anything at all, in fact, that is at India Post Live, using the hashtag at India Post Live. Everyone, thank you so much. We'll see you next year for more Champions League action. In the meantime, there's thankfully the World Cup coming up, so there's not going to be any football that we're missing for some time. Thank you and take care.